So now we learned about getStaticPaths. At the moment, the way we use it is still a bit unrealistic though, because I hard-coded my PID values here into this function, and in reality, we would be fetching this kind of information from a database or a file as well. So therefore, in reality, we would basically just repeat this code here, and hence I'll grab that code and just outsource it into a separate function, async function called getData, where I then return data. And since it's async, we can use await in there. And then we can just get our data here by calling getData and awaiting this here in getStaticProps. And we can do the same in getStaticPaths. So a little bit of refactoring to have no code duplication. With that, we get the data. And now here in getStaticPaths, we want to use the data to read all the IDs we want to support. So for this, we could get our IDs array here by going through all the data pieces. Now the data we get back here, by the way, will already be parsed JSON since we do that in getData. So it will be a JavaScript object. So here IDs then should be an array. And in dummy backend, we have this products array. So in the end, what we want to do is we want to access data.products and then just map this array of complete product objects into an array of just product IDs. Just like this, for example. Just extracting the ID for every product and then having such an IDs array here. And then we need to translate this IDs array into an array of such objects. So here we could then create another object, params, which is another array. But we create this array by going through the IDs and mapping these IDs such that every ID is mapped into an object. And we need to wrap this in extra brackets here, extra parentheses, so that this is not considered as the function body, but that we instead inline return a new object for every ID, an object with a params key, which then holds another object with a PID key, which has this ID as a value. And that's then repeated for every ID. So we end up with an array full of such objects which have exactly that structure we need down there so that we can set paths equal to params here. Or we name this paths with params maybe. Whoops, paths with params, just like this. And of course we could perform these two operations in one single step as well. I'm just using two steps here to hopefully make this a bit easier to understand. And with that, if I now save this, it still works as before. Everything still works as before. Now also all the pages are pre-generated again, by the way, because I am going through all the products here. So now we can also set fallback to false again because we are loading all possible IDs anyways. And that's of course a bit more realistic here because typically you would not pre-hardcode all supported values here. Typically you don't know all dynamic values in advance as a developer, but instead you would fetch them from the same data source as the actual data is then fetched from later.